This is the Awkward GM Corbin, and today we will be discussing how to Storyteller the Chronicles of Darkness. Hello, Future Corbin here. There are timestamps below in the description if you'd like to jump to something that more interests you about storytelling. And also, please donate to my Ko-fi account if you liked what you hear today. Today's sponsor is Matthew from Warlock's Sanctum Games. He's a professional game master, and you can find a link in the description to his Start Playing account if you'd like to hire him. I have a video that covers the basics of character creation, which I will put in a blip above my head. If you have any questions about the character creation rules, the character sheet for Chronicles of Darkness and its other game lines have a truncated version of the rules at the bottom of the page. Chronicles of Darkness uses 10-sided dice. When a player wants to accomplish a goal, they will typically roll the number of dice equal to the amount of points they have in a relevant attribute and skill. Rolls of 8 or better count as successes. Every other result is ignored. For every 10 you roll, you can roll an extra die. If any of these extra dice come up a 10, you keep rolling extra dice until you stop rolling 10s. If the number of dice you roll are reduced to 0, you roll a chance die instead, which is one 10-sided die, but it only succeeds on a 10, and then dramatically fails on a 1. The result of your roll is based on how many successes you accumulate. 1 through 4 successes is a normal success. The player accomplishes what they wanted to do with the roll. No successes rolled is a failure and nothing happens. If a player wants to get an extra beat to go towards experience points, they can upgrade it to a dramatic failure, which adds an additional complication to the scene. If a character gets 5 or more successes, they get an exceptional success, which adds a benefit in addition to what a normal success grants them. Feel free to play around with the severity of success or failure depending on what will work for your game. Here are some common examples of rolls I use. Perception checks are wits plus composure. Trying to convince someone is presence or manipulation plus persuasion roll, depending on how you approach them. Skills aren't tied to a single attribute. Feel free to mix and match. For instance, trying to do forensic analysis of a bullet wound could be intelligence plus medicine or intelligence plus firearms. Often I'll give my players a couple of dice pool options and say, pick whichever is better. This way I avoid ending up in a situation where they get stuck because their dice rolls aren't high enough. There are 4 types of attacks in combat: unarmed, melee, ranged, and thrown weapons. Ranged weapons such as firearms are great because your opponent usually can't use their defense to give you a penalty. When you roll a dice pool for an attack such as dexterity plus firearms, every success you roll plus any modifiers from the weapon is turned into damage. The 3 damage types range in severity from bashing to lethal to aggravated. Characters mark off damage from left to right in their health boxes. The most severe damage is always marked on the leftmost boxes and pushes the less severe damage further down the track. Any damage that goes past the last health box upgrades the least severe damage on the left to the next damage type. If that far right health box is full of bashing or more severe damage, the character risks falling unconscious. If it's full of lethal damage, they are bleeding out. If it's full of aggravated damage, they are dead. A quick way to resolve combat is to just make it a single skill check. This is called down and dirty combat and is usually used when trying to resolve trivial combat, such as knocking out a guard. Have the attacking and defending characters determine what their goal is in the fight. It could be to kill the opponent, escape the fight, or just to capture them. Both sides then roll off and whoever gets more successes wins. I recommend not using kill opponent on players in down and dirty combat, as killing players in one roll is not sporting and can lead to a negative play experience. NPCs follow most of the same rules as players, but I will be going over quicker ways to make NPCs later on. Additionally, there are pre-made ones in the books that you can use as a baseline. Unlike Dungeons & Dragons, there isn't challenge rating or XP budget to balance encounters. Instead, game masters are left to figure this out on their own. My quick NPC rules are different. I stole or borrowed this idea from Schism Navigator on a Discord group. Essentially, give your NPC a rank between 1 and 10. This number becomes their dice pool for most actions. Their unskilled rolls are half of their rank rounded down. Their specialty rolls are equal to their rank plus half their rank, rounded down. Their mastery skill rolls are what they are best at and is equal to double their rank. Additionally, I apply a template that modifies the NPC to be a bit more like the supernatural creature I want them to represent. This adds a lot more variety to my combat, and players will recognize that this NPC isn't just a guy with a gun. There's a link in the description to all of this. I'm still working on it, so bear with me. I plan most of my standard sessions into 3 acts. The introduction is where the players can interact with each other, and I can introduce the mission they are going on. The build-up is when the players are on the mission and are trying to figure out what is going on, talking to witnesses, investigating crime scenes, and more so. And the climax is where the players have figured everything out and must carry out the resolution. Kill the antagonist, recruit them, set the building on fire and run, or any number of other options that they can come up with. Man, XP looks daunting. Unlike Dungeons & Dragons, XP isn't handed out in the hundreds or thousands. Instead, XP uses very small numbers like 1. If you can't figure out how much XP to give your players after a successful session, give them 1 XP. Most abilities cost between 1 and 5 XP, so it's not breaking the bank. Before I summarize this, thank you for watching. Please donate to my Ko-fi account if you think I did a good job explaining all of this. Link in the description. We've gone over skill checks, combat, NPC creation, basic session structure, encounter types, roaring XP. Please let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, because there's a lot to go over, and I'm really hoping that this is enough to get you started as a storyteller. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Hey, if you're still watching, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you decided to watch the credits sequence here, but there's nothing else really. I can sing a little song. Monkey versus robot, monkey, and that's about it. That's it. I'm done. Have a good day. Happy Easter or whatever holiday you're celebrating. Yeah.